What is going on, guys? Hey, I wanted to come back to it, and I wanted to bring you a video with Patrick Bet-David. And again, they're talking about, man, we have to be willing to speak up, to say what's on our minds, to, avoid getting angry, avoid getting pissed, confronting people, when in anger and fighting and that kind of stuff. But people had to be willing to call out wrong, to call out evil, to call out things that are not right. And I think all of us know exactly what it means with that. Right now, there is so much happening. There's so much going on. Like no bail in LA. Again, man, there's, no bail in I think the entire state of Illinois now. No bail with certain crimes, like in the case in New York City. So again, we're seeing this over and over, and we know that it's evil. We know it's wrong. And people have got to get willing to speak up and call things out. Say, things are evil, things are wrong. But I wanted to bring you a part of this interview, man. Again, with Patrick Bet-David, and they're talking about this. They're talking about people have to be willing to speak up. Again, there's ways to do so without, putting yourself in jeopardy, putting your career, that kind of stuff in jeopardy. But hey, guys, if you would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thanks.
Because especially if we're talking about women have the tendency to be very agreeable. And I think when you're taking a position that's going against the mainstream, which if you are at all center, even center left nowadays is considered fringe or extreme, that is an unpopular position. That is anti-establishment. And I think a lot of women, especially like the nice girls that I was hanging out with, I never would have thought of them as extreme or radical. But I think because they are so prone to that agreeableness, as Jordan Peterson would say, it's just a lot easier to go with it, to accept it, especially when you have these activists that are painting things like extreme feminism or the LGBT agenda as just being tolerant and accepting. They're going to look at anyone who speaks out against that as extreme, confrontational, bigoted, you name it.
Yeah, it's crazy you say that. So we're in Bahamas this last weekend. We took a couple hundred people there. Vinny, one night, we laughed. You made us laugh for 3 hours straight. I had an ab workout by the time we were done that night. But we walk out of this restaurant, and this one guy comes. He says, "You're the Twitter guy." Another guy comes. He says, "You're the TikTok guy." I'm like, "I'm the TikTok guy. I don't even know, So, but the Twitter guy that I'm talking to, I said, "Tell me why you're saying I'm the Twitter guy." So I see your Twitter. He said, "You should have me on your podcast." The guy says this to me, good looking, successful, Middle Eastern, Jewish, wearing a $50,000 watch. And he says, "You should have me on the podcast because we agree on a lot of things. I'd love to kind of tell them what's really going on." I said, "Why don't you have a podcast?" He says, "Oh, no, I can't have a podcast." So why can't you have a podcast? He says, "Well, because, business is going to affect us." I said, "You're the problem. You're the reason why America's where it's at. You are the absolute problem." And he grabs his wife. Wife comes over. These other two guys come over. Every one of them listens to you. So they know content, what we're doing, all this stuff. He says, "Yeah, he is. He's a pussy. He's scared. He's this, he's that." His friend is now joking with him, right?
Gotcha.
So I sat there and I said, "So what are you scared of? Tell me actually what you're scared of." He says, "Well, what do I do? I mean, if I do in New York, I'm in New York. If I say anything, we're going to do this and they're going to do this and they're going to do that." Well, that's exactly the issue, okay? The three communities that I keep talking. I had a great conversation with Dave Smith last week. A phenomenal call together about the three communities. The lazy and scared Republicans are ruining America. The do-your-thing libertarians are ruining America. And the tolerant Christians are ruining America. These three communities are all generally net positives to society. They contribute to society. They don't take. But they're ruining America because they're sitting there saying, "Well, I don't want to kind of get my name called out. I'd rather just be quiet and not say anything about it because what if the guy's like, what my real estate business could take a hit." I say, your country could take a hit. Your kids could take a hit. You're worried about the real estate business. But then again, it's a real valid fear that a lot of people are having nowadays. But
the thing is, I think for the most part, man, women, used to, and again, man, they are more agreeable. I agree. They are more agreeable with things. But men have become more agreeable as well. Men now don't really want to offend people. They don't want to offer their sincere opinion because they don't want to offend people. They don't want to be seen as the bad guy. They want to be nice. They want to be they want to come across as nice. And again, nice isn't always nice. Nice. I gotta be honest with you. Nice, I think it's rarely nice. Because we have to understand that if you're being nice, just agreeable, in order not to offend people, again, you're holding back the truth. You're holding back your real self. And again, I think people need to hear the truth. They need to hear what you really believe, what you really feel, not some parrot of what people heard on CNN. But again, really what you feel on things. And and for years, men, it seemed like, even when I was a kid, 40 years ago, men seemed to offer their opinion more. And there seemed to be more conservative type men out there. And that offered their opinion, that said whatever. And it's not like they were really nasty or anything. They just offered their opinion. And now it seems like men, even in front of their wives, they won't offer their opinion because they might make her feel uncomfortable. They might make others feel uncomfortable. So they're not going to. And even if they're asked directly, what do you feel? How do you feel on this? They're like, oh, well, and they give the kind of the popular answer. So again, we have to understand that that has been kind of the way things have been moving for the last so many years. Kind of the feminizing of our society in a lot of ways. Again, man, people are just unwilling to say what's on their mind. And, because again, they're worried about to hit their image or their business or their job or their standing in the community or whatever it might take. So they're unwilling to speak up. They're unwilling to say what they got to say.
Go to the bottom on when the guy asks the question. Right there, my response to him, he says, Pat, I saw your thoughts on the podcast and completely agree. However, it is a risk for many of us to speak up. We have bosses who don't agree with us and bills to pay. What do you recommend to combat that? I said, I totally understand there's risk for speaking up, but there's risk for staying silent. It's much bigger. However, there are creative ways for doing it. If you want to click on show more, you can create a pseudonym to write blogs, a fictional character, burner account that speaks up, a community Twitter account that without revealing it's you kind of like libs of TikTok. There are many ways to push the envelope. The only thing I discourage you from doing is staying silent. So that's kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I finally did reveal my face and eventually my name, it was freeing. Honestly, it was. It's sort of scary because all right, I can't really work a mainstream job in HR if people at my wiki page is calling me a white supremacist and all these terrible things.
A white supremacist.
Yeah. White supremacy is very multiracial nowadays. Mm-hmm. Surprisingly diverse bunch. Those.
Working out now apparently. If you work out too much, well, yeah. But you know what? You actually Pat left out a part. Not only were we at a dinner for 3.5 hours and we came out, that interaction with this group, especially with this guy, was like a 10 to 15 minute situation where he not even called them out. I mean, like an audience. It was like a town hall in the casino, and Pat wasn't being quiet. He was going in on him. He was seeing the light, and then his friends were showing up. Other people were showing up, recognizing Pat, and I think calling people out, Pat, was not only like a good thing. We need more people like that who, mind you, he has kids in the room. He has enough crap going on where taking that time out in the middle of a casino on vacation to Pat, it was pretty loud. Like, I think we need more of that where it's like, hey, listen, you're not doing your part. You're all freaking talking.
It's a valid concern. It's a very valid concern.
It is.
So one, we have to understand the level of, like a guy calls from Hollywood saying, hey, Pat, I fully agree with what you're doing. Obviously, I can't talk about it because if I do, my community, I'm going to get hurt. I said, okay, career-wise. I said, okay. He says, what should I do? I said, do you have a few money if you're in Hollywood? I don't. I said, what matters more to you? Is this a bigger cause in your life than your love for Hollywood? He says, that's something I got to battle with. I said, I totally get it. You got to do what you got to do. But nowadays,
But the thing is, man, I think a lot of people, they're afraid to speak up. They're afraid to say what they got to say. And, I think the biggest fear for a lot of people that I've spoken with is the whole thing about white supremacy being racist. And again, man, you just because you disagree with affirmative action or, again, man, non-payment of reparations, man, we don't want to pay reparations for, again, just because you disagree with the left does not make you racist. It doesn't. And I think so many people nowadays, they've bought into this narrative, into this idea that you're automatically a white supremacist if you disagree with left. And the fact of the matter is you're not. And you're not. And the thing is, man, you have got to understand that you are going to be called names. There are going to be people behind your back. And I know it sounds weird, but it's almost like there are good ways to kind of put things and say things and whatever, to where, again, it's like, you can make up, again, names or whatever. You can make up this false identity or whatever, but, to say things, online or whatever if you want to. But the thing is, in person, if somebody asks you a question and you're like, I disagree with reparations, again, man, just state what you got to state and give the reasons why. And again, man, we have to understand that it's not, if people are too afraid to offer their opinions on things, it's never going to change. As a matter of fact, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get more and more reinforced that you must be a racist if you disagree with, Obama. You must be. You must be a racist if you disagree with Maxine Waters, from California. Again, if you disagree with the idea that we live in a white supremacist nation, then you're a racist. So, again, that kind of stuff that I think is what people, I think, man, that I've spoken with mostly fear. It's not even so much they fear the stuff about the trans stuff, being transphobic or whatever. It's not that they fear, some do, that I've personally spoken with. But I think a lot of them fear, honestly, being called racist, being looked at as being a white supremacist. Even, again, people that, like her, that aren't really white, that are Asian. Again, people that are actually black, man, that I've spoken with, friends that are black, that they get pushback from their own community in a lot of ways for speaking up on things, for being honest about stuff. And, it's like, the fear is real out there. But I think, again, I agree that we have much more to fear if we keep our mouths shut than if we dare to say what we got to say. But anyways, guys, if you would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thanks.
You son of a